Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the Mighty Jingles. I know I don't really do World of Tanks videos anymore, and Tuesday is normally World of Warships Day. And if you're wondering why I don't really do World of Tanks videos anymore, well then you should probably be watching Mingles with Jingles more often, shouldn't you? And then you'd know. However, when I saw this battle, I knew that today had to be a World of Tanks video. First, however, some context. This is the Prince of... well, this isn't the Prince of Crows, this is me in my Panzer IIIe in my garage, the first time I've logged into World of Tanks in living memory. But the Panzer IIIe is the tank that the Prince of Crows is going to be driving for us in the battle that you're about to watch. And the reason you're about to watch it is because it is nothing short of spectacular. It turns out that I am the first YouTuber that the Prince here ever actually started watching, and I am the reason he started playing World of Tanks, World of Warships, and incidentally, Masters of Orion. However, this was all years ago. And when he went to college, he stopped playing wargaming titles. Well, this weekend he thought to himself, you know, it's been about 10 years. Let's give World of Tanks another go. And what you're about to see was the result. Now, again, just for further context, I immediately thought, oh, he didn't realise he was playing in warm-up mode. For those of you who aren't aware, relatively recently, Wargaming introduced what they call a warm-up mode for returning players to World of Tanks. If you haven't played the game in a long time, when you come back, they put you up against some extremely forgiving bots, basically just to ease you back into the game and make you feel good about your decision to reinstall it. And it's very easy, perhaps even deliberately so, for you to reinstall the game, hit the battle button, end up in a warm-up battle, and just not realise that you're playing a game mode that's deliberately designed to make you feel like a World of Tanks god. And so when Prince of Crows said, this match was within 2 hours of me starting to play again and it reminded me of why this game is absolutely glorious, I just assumed he was playing a warm-up battle. But no, he's through the warm-up period. This is a proper random battle against proper players. Admittedly, it's a tier 3 random battle, so there are some bots making up the numbers on both teams. But this is not a warm-up battle. This is the real thing. There's a lot of Panzer IIIes around, isn't there, on both teams? Why is that? I notice they're all being played by actual players as well. None of the bots are in Panzer IIIes. You can tell who's a bot and who isn't because a bot has a colon at the start of their name. Let me Google, why are there so many Panzer IIIes in World of Tanks battles? Superior mobility and scouting, effective firepower. Ah, it's a Seal Clubber tank. You should have just said. Well, nothing spotted on his initial position, so rather than sitting around waiting for the enemy team to further capitalise on their 2-kill advantage, he moves forward. There we go. You can see by the names above the tanks who's a bot and who isn't. That was a bot. And now it's a dead bot. The other 2 remaining tanks on the corner over there, however, well, there's 3, but the bot in the other Valentine is heading in a different direction. But the 2 remaining on that corner are not bots, and one of them in particular is going to be a problem for the Panzer III's 50mm gun, and that is the Valentine, which is an extremely well-armoured Tier 3 tank. It's kind of like the Tier 3 version of the Matilda. Notice how he's pulled back so he doesn't have to fight all 3 on the corner at once. The medium there is a bot, as is this Panzer IV. Also notice he's going for the mobility shots, trying to blow the tracks off to keep him pinned there. Also notice that the bots are not shy when it comes to using their repair kits. Honestly, they're not bad. I mean, they're never going to be as good as a player, but they're not complete idiots. In fact, I'm pretty sure that in some cases you might find that the bots are actually better than some players. I know that Wargaming have the technology to make the bots in their games really, really, really good. That's the trick though, isn't it? Because it's actually very, very easy to make an AI opponent ridiculously good. Because they always know where you are and they have perfect aim. But the trick is to make them good enough to present you with something of a challenge without either being completely overpowered or just ridiculously easy. Come on. Gotcha. Right. Oh, bugger. There's only 3 players left alive on his team against 5 enemies. And he's getting YOLO'd. And it's not a bot. It's another Panzer III. Oh, this looks way too much like a fair fight for anybody's comfort. Fortunately, the enemy player in the Panzer III was kind enough to consistently position himself in such a way that the Valentine behind him wasn't able to actually assist without shooting through him. So cheers for that. And that's even the scores. 8 kills per side. The only problem... Actually, there is another problem. Yep. Yeah, that just happened. Fortunately, World of Tanks does now have a self-righting mechanic. You don't have to wait for a teammate to flip you over anymore. Even more fortunately, the tank crawling around the church, trying to catch up with him, is a Valentine. And, well, the Valentine has a lot in common with the Matilda. They're both extremely well armoured, and they're both extremely slow. If that had been the Panzer III, for example, it would easily have caught him before he could have righted himself. Prince of Crow's problems are not over, however, because that is a Valentine. It is extremely well armoured. It's a little bit too well armoured for the Panzer III's 50mm gun. Even at point-blank range, it's a bit of a lottery whether or not this thing can actually penetrate a Valentine from most angles. And of course there's also the small matter of the fact that it only has 12 hit points left, roughly 10% of what the enemy Valentine has. But what he has managed to do is sucker the Valentine into playing chasey chasey, catchy catchy, killy killy with a faster tank around the church, allowing the friendly Valentine to get in there into what is definitely not a fair fight for the enemy Valentine. 2 surviving enemy tanks, both in the cap circle. Here's the problem: the Chiha is a one-shot kill. But in order to get his gun pointed at the Chiha, he would have to expose himself to the enemy Valentine, who is not a one-shot kill. It's probably not a 5 or 6 shot kill. And with 12 hit points, it's time to get creative. Fortunately, the Panzer IIIe has extremely good mobility for its tier, and he has less than 10 seconds to get the reset off, so he's going to need every ounce of that speed. And unfortunately, he can't shoot the Chiha. He doesn't even have time to aim at the... There's the reset! It wasn't even slightly aimed, and it was at a Valentine, and yet somehow he managed to not only hit but also penetrate and reset that cap. But now he's got less than 10 seconds to do the same thing to the Chiha, which, again, in the nick of time, but now is the last tank left alive on his team because the friendly Valentine's dead. That is not a bot, allow me to remind you. That's an actual player, and he still only has 12 hit points. And it's a wow, the Valentine bounced. Observe the Valentine now switching to high explosive. Which, you know, seems like the logical thing to do when you're facing a tank that started the fight with 12 hit points. I can't help but feel that the more logical thing to do would have been to turn that tank so that the extremely tough frontal armour was what you were actually presenting to the 50mm gun of the Panzer IIIe that just killed you. But let's not get too judgmental. This is tier 3. That could have been a new player. Doesn't make it any less funny, of course. Although, you know, entirely understandable. When you see people derping like that at tier 3, sure, fine. It's when they're still doing it at tier 10. But like I say, all you have to do to get to tier 10 in World of Tanks is just lose enough battles and eventually you'll get there. Anyway, the Prince of Crows and the Panzer IIIe, good job. You clearly haven't lost it. I mean, I'm curious what your initial experience was. Because World of Tanks has changed a lot, of course, since the last time you played it. In particular, I've heard from a lot of people that they just got completely overwhelmed by the garage interface with the number of different things just blaring at them to spend money that they just uninstalled as quickly as they reinstalled. You've clearly managed to get over that particular hump, however, and, well, I'm just glad that you're still enjoying the game, because at the end of the day, they're supposed to be fun. That's what they're for. So, welcome back. Congratulations on a spectacular match within 2 hours of reinstalling World of Tanks after many, many years away. Not 1, but 2 last-second cap resets, and then surviving a one-on-one against a technically superior tank while having only 12 hit points remaining. Good job. And I hope you all enjoyed watching his return to the game, because that's it for today. As always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.